Hello, everyone. I wanted to do a brief chat about the most recent book I read, which I just finished. It is Ilium by Dan Simmons. I read this electronically, so there's the cover. Um, so, the reason I picked this book up, or had it on my TBR, actually, this year I have a TBR. I haven't done this in the past. I have typically just read whatever came to mind, and actually it became kind of a thing. Like I would finish a book and then I would spend, um, an hour, several hours choosing my next book. And this year, I sort of decided to do a list for some reason. So it was fun to put together the list. And I'm sort of sticking to it now, still. So, but I may toss it at any moment. But currently, I'm still following. But anyway, this book was on that list, and the reason why is because it's got everything that I typically like about this sort of science fiction. It's I could tell from the reviews that it was going to be kind of an adventure story. But what it's got that really made me decide to pick it up and read it was it had elements of several different realities going on, which I'm always kind of drawn to. So it had a Trojan War. Part of it takes place during the Trojan War. Then there is this whole Greek gods aspect of it. The Greek gods actually live on Olympus Mons. Then there is another storyline that is an artificial intelligence, sort of machine intelligence, that lives. Their civilization is out in like Jupiter and Saturn, the outer planets, and so the couple of characters from the machine intelligence, one is very into Shakespeare, and the other one is very into Proust, and so it had that literary sort of tie-in. And then the other set storyline takes place on an Earth among humans. This is in the far distant Earth, so I think a couple of thousand years in the future, where the humans there are sort of H.G. Wells, The Time Machine, sort of Eloi-ish. They live in luxury and idleness, and they've lost their connection to their history, so they don't know their history. Most humans having left, becoming post-human, and having left to these rings that surround the Earth, these man-made or human-made rings. So all that sort of appealed to me. It's got all the elements that would normally appeal to me when I want to just read a in a story like this. And I didn't assume it was going to be philosophical or this type of thing. I just thought it would be might be a good fun read. So that's why I picked it up. So what I did like about it, so I liked those elements of it. It's the type of book that's sort of an adventure story that's very easy to give away spoilers, so I won't go into a lot. I'm trying to be careful to not give away spoilers in case anyone wants to read this after the end of this review. But it's not really a review; it's more of a chat. So, but the storylines sort of intersect as there's the machine intelligences notice that there's something going on in the quantum field around Mars, and then the humans that are living sort of the on Earth that have sort of lost their history, they meet a woman who's sort of outside their system, and so she has some of this old tribal knowledge or old cultural knowledge that she shares with them. So these three elements are in the Trojan War too. The Trojan War is going on and being interfered with by the gods, just like just like the Iliad, and then it's on Troy, and so one of the main characters in that storyline is actually a scholar from the 20th century, who has been reconstituted and provides commentary to the gods about whether or not the war is following what the Iliad is. And there's several of these scholars that have been sort of reconstituted by these gods, and they don't really explain how that is, but that's who they are. So what I didn't like about this was pretty much everything else. Its main problem is it's a very masculine book, and I don't mean that in a good way. It's overly over the top masculine, to the point of almost, you could say, being toxic masculine. It doesn't feel retro. It feels so out of date as far as that goes. If you followed the Hugo Awards in 2015, where there was the sad puppy, rabid puppy group of men who were sort of rebelling against what they consider to be science fiction being too politically correct and too, trying to be too diverse, and sort of reactionary against that. I won't go into that too much, but if you know what I'm talking about with that, then Ilium is a book that group would love, because it's this sort of masculine adventure tale. The other part is, as far as the advent. I tried to overlook that. I thought, actually, for a while, that since this storyline, one of the main storylines, takes place in the Trojan War, and we're talking about these are Trojans and Greeks, that because it's taking place in the past, and that's obviously a masculine patriarchal culture. I thought, okay, well, maybe that's sort of where we're going with that, but no, it was throughout all three storylines, all the storylines. As a matter of fact, even the humans that exist, sort of like the Eloi in the far distant human civilization, where they've sort of lost their past, they sort of find themselves by becoming masculine again, growing beards, and I don't know what else to say about that, really. The other thing was the sexuality that was described in the book was so adolescent, boy. It was not even, it was just like an adolescent. It was so unsophisticated and so shallow. And then there's a really big problem I had with one of the characters who pretends to be someone else. We'll call it that way. I don't want to give away a spoiler necessarily, even though. But anyway, and pretends to be someone else, and so has sex with this woman as this other person. She thinks he's another person, which that's basically rape, because that's basically tricking someone into having sex with you. And she ends up being cool with it. She's like, oh, cool. I don't know. That just was such a turn off to me. I finished the book, but because I always seem to finish books even if I don't like them, because I feel like the negative experience is sometimes as important as a positive experience with a book or with any work of art. So I finished it out, but I won't be reading any of the sequels to it, and there have been a number of them, just because this, mainly because of this. Because otherwise, if it was just going to be a fun story, yeah, it had a lot of inconsistencies. Yeah, they used a lot of 20th century slang and 20th century sort of mores, and 21st century, I guess we could say current. But I can forgive that if I'm having a good time with the book. I didn't go into this book expecting it to be, literary science fiction or philosophical science fiction or hard science fiction even. I went into the book expecting it to be just, entertainment type science fiction, and it could have been, if it had been done a bit differently, because it had all the elements there that I should have loved and would have loved, if they had been put together, in a different way for me. So it just did not work for me at all. So that's really about all I have to say about Ilium by Dan Simmons. Stay tuned for the next video if you're interested. Hope you found that somewhat informative, or maybe not. But I feel like I feel like with my videos, I don't like it to get on and do a video where I'm sort of critical of a book, because or an art or anything really. But I try to do a video, I guess, on every book that I read, just because I'm trying to, more than really the book, I'm really just trying to explain my experience with the book, so my interaction with the book. And that's sort of where I am with Ilium. So until next time, take care. Bye.